guys, and welcome back to the latest episode from Descendants of Nonsense. I'll tell you what, we have got some episode for you today. How you feeling, Parge? You excited?
Oh yeah, we've got a right doozy for you today. Welcome, guys.
Glad to see you pumped and ready for it then.
Yeah, I'm ready, mate. I'm absolutely ready for this one. I've been waiting all weekend for this, and as soon as it's 3 p.m. on a Saturday, the lads are ready. We've all showered together, and we showered and wore a mask, and we're just ready to get out there and slide tackle.
So you ready to 2-foot today's episode then?
Yeah, I'm ready to 2-foot it.
Fantastic. And I feel like if there's any episode that sums up if anyone asks me to describe our channel, I always struggle with that question when anyone says, I don't know what your content's about. Well, that's the point, because neither the fuck do I. It's literally impossible to describe our channel in any word, because I don't want to be trapped in a box. I don't want to put shitty little... I don't want to get trapped in a really niche, tight little box.
There is mad one word sentence. You could use.
That's a mad sentence. I've never said that before. Go on, what's that one word?
Brilliant.
Well, that goes without saying, doesn't it? They know that I'm the host, so come on. Yeah. That's foregone conclusion. But no, people actually do ask me, and what do you say when people ask you what our podcast is about?
I just say it's a mixture of... Actually, someone else asked me that. Only the one person, but we're getting there.
Was it me?
No, was it you? I just say it's a mix of topics, really, that we like to discuss and just have fun with. And it's just a fun little podcast about a variety of things. It's not nothing specific, but wow. That's life, That made no sense, but we're going to go with it.
When we set this up, the one thing that I didn't want to do is just put the same shitty content out there and get trapped in a circle and a vicious spiral of just crappy content. So that's the whole point in trying to make it a bit different.
Fun topics, I'd say. Fun topics. That's what we're about. So we're not tied down to just talking about football or talking about video games or whatever. Just a little bit of everything. We like to have
both things that we've never mentioned on this podcast. Yeah,
actually, that is true. We probably won't, though, to be honest. There's plenty of podcasts that discuss that.
You want to discuss football, you go down the pub. You want quality banter from a couple of cracking lads, find another podcast because they said it. But no, I'm excited for this one. I feel like this is what we do best.
Yeah.
We research, we argue, we look like morons, we go on to the next topic.
Yeah.
I think, in fact, that's how I would sum our podcast up. There you go. I've hit the nail on the head.
Now you got the new bio for the Twitter.
Yeah. Well done. What a plug that was.
Exactly.
Do you want to give them the good news or should I?
Go on, you deliver it. I think you deserve to deliver this amazing piece of news. Elon Musk has followed us. No, I'm joking. You tell me the truth.
You imagine that? Then I'd just give up on life because there's nothing else that I could accomplish.
You would direct all your tweets to him. Let's be honest.
He does too much. So I wonder if anyone's ever just said to him, just take a breath. Well, he does Tesla. He does all this space travel. He does all this work with neurological work, even if that's... I literally watched an interview with him where he says there'll be a point where you'll be able to communicate with people, where you won't even be able to speak. They'll just be reading your thoughts. You won't be able to feel pain because he'll just replace a part of your brain that enables you to do that. It's honestly mental. Do you know what? And he said it's only scary because it's new now, but there will be a point when it won't be new. And he said,
I do get that. because people thought the invention of cars was a scary thing, and there's been plenty of inventions that people thought, it's the work of the devil or it's dangerous.
But
some of
people
those are really scary, though, to be honest.
Someone asked him, how far away from experimenting on these things are you? And he said, around 10 years or so, I'm hoping to be the first one.
Oh, okay.
But so it'll happen in our lifetime, but I don't care because I'll be on his little shuttle to Mars, and that's all that matters, as long as I'm okay. That's all I care about.
I'd love that, I would. If I was in a position where I had no one and no one cared about me and had nothing else to do.
You do? You already live that?
Can you imagine just going to another planet and starting a life, starting a new human colony on another planet, which we're going to also destroy as well as Earth? That would be something.
That's true. And then we'll move to another one in another, 1,000 years and destroy that one.
Exactly. Bring on Mars. Bring on the moon. Bring on Saturn. Bring on.
We won't destroy Earth because, let's be honest, global warming doesn't exist.
Ooh, no. Anyway, that beautifully gets us onto today's topic.
Now, before I discuss the topic, I literally just want to do that thing.
We totally forgot.
So, we forgot the good news. All right, so we're going to do a first giveaway. So what we'll do is, it's nothing extravagant. Calm down. You're not going to win a Tesla. That wasn't a plug. So just first £10 Amazon voucher. And instead of being ungrateful bastards, remember this is coming out of our pocket. All right. So pulling faces right now listening. It's my money, so appreciate it. And whatever you get with that £10. Can appreciate it, okay? But no, say Friday is a good day. Paddy, give me a time on Friday between 7:59 and 8:01.
7:59 and 8:01.
Between those times, give me a time. Any time that I'm giving you the option.
1:43.
I said between. I meant. How have you gone for any other answer than 8 o'clock?
Oh,
that was the only answer you could have given.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid, actually. I thought you meant like from morning to the evening.
No, from 8 p.m. So as long as you are following our Twitter page, which will be in the description of the YouTube video now. If you're listening on Spotify, you got to do the hard work yourself, I'm afraid, and you'll have to search for it yourself. And it's Descendants of N on Twitter.
Because I'm sure there's someone.
Oh, you're going slight indication towards work there. You're getting too close.
Yeah.
And as long as there will be a tweet going out today, I'll do it after I've done this. By today, I mean Tuesday, the 7th of July. As long as you are following us and you retweet that tweet, we will pick a winner on Friday at 8 o'clock. And if you think it's not worth that hard work, lady fuckers,
it is worth it.
Just remember that these are minimal followers at the meantime. We're only small fish in a pretty big pond. Well, in the fucking ocean. We're just minnows, aren't we?
Yeah.
So you have a very high probability. So as long as by Friday, 8 o'clock, you are following our page and you've retweeted that tweet, then you could just earn yourself a tenner. Just look out for that £10 ghost.
Wouldn't you love that?
Just, as I say, watch out for that £10 ghost.
And just think, it could be £10 now at the beginning. Just think a year from now on. Could be 10,000.
We'll be giving away Teslas.
Yeah,
we'll be giving away Teslas at that point. Yeah, but then you'll have a 1 in 5 million chance because that's how many followers we'll have. So
I've got a high.
You better get in now while we're in single and double digits.
No, we're on the upward path. So that's
all right, so that's all you need to do. Yeah, right. The even better news is we have got best topic that we've probably done today, even though my favourite episode is the one that's probably done not the best for views, actually, the latest one. That was a good one. Did you enjoy listening back to it?
Yeah, of course. Love hearing my beautiful little voice.
That's such a lie. I know how insecure you are. You sat there probably crying to your mum saying, why do I sound like that?
It's just a lot of people say. Obviously, you never know yourself until you listen back. And I don't always pick up on it, but apparently I sound very, very brummy when I'm being recorded. So.
The feedback of that is people love your voice. It's so scary.
Okay, I'll take that because I get told, as I've mentioned before, it's very monotonous and yeah, not very interesting to listen to. But
I think it's because people are comparing you to me.
Yeah, true. I mean, look at that voice. It was just made to podcast, wasn't it?
You want about me or you?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, hello. All right. That's it for today's episode. My ego won't allow me to go any further. That's
Thank you for joining us.
All right. Today's episode,
conspiracy
theories.
Here we go.
Oh, shit. I could have done a drum roll.
Here we go.
Give me a drum roll and we'll pretend I haven't just said that. Go on.
I can't do a drum roll. Can I? No, you do it. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Oh, forget it. Conspiracy theories. Woo! Oh, you're shocked, aren't you?
Wow.
Woo!
Dramatic music plays.
Like living with Ric Flair. Right. It's scary when you're searching conspiracy theories, and it's not for the weak-hearted.
No, it's not a pleasant place. Oof.
You like The Truman Show, don't you?
The movie, yeah.
You end up in that kind of effect. You wonder what's real and what's not real.
How do you know that your life right now isn't The Truman Show?
Shut up.
You don't know.
You know that I'm mad enough to actually
question
question
this position. I'm just an actor, and I'm here to just cater to what you want to do.
That's literally what you do, so I'm pretty scared.
Just think about it. That the price for the retweet, maybe that's just being put in place. That's an advertisement for Amazon.
If Jeff Bezos hits me up, listen, Jeff, if you're listening, mate, can you please retweet that as well? That'll be worth it. Come on, mate.
Is he on Twitter though?
Presume so.
But yeah, conspiracy theories is dark and deep.
All right.
Mysterious.
Oh, 100%. I found out loads of shit, mate. I found out that Donald Trump's a lizard, for anyone that didn't know. All right. And have you ever seen the picture of Elvis gardening in like that Graceland, I think it's called? Have you ever seen it?
He's still alive, isn't he? He's still gardening.
Have you ever seen the picture of him gardening? The person, it's literally like an old guy just with grey hair.
No.
And people claim that it was Elvis.
He's still alive.
I'll send you the picture. I'll send it you because it's fantastic. It wasn't recent. Would have been like 20, 30 years ago, I imagine.
If he's alive, he would be gardening in one of the most iconic, famous places in all of American kind of history.
Oh. Who knows? Who knows? Also, did you know that dinosaurs helped build the pyramids?
Of course they did. What do you think T-Rex was doing? He wasn't just killing and ripping off limbs all day. He's using his little dino hands to...
I believed it until I thought, that's not true. How would a T-Rex hold a shovel?
Exactly. Come on, that's nonsense.
That was the only thing that stopped me believing it. All right, so let's crack on then. Who's going first? Are you or me?
I'm going to go first. Usually you always say this, and I'm like, oh, you go first, Daniel. You bore everyone, and then I'll come in and entertain everyone.
Rescue it all again.
Yeah, keep those views.
You figured me out. After 5 episodes, you've figured me out.
Go on then. I'll go for this. So conspiracy theories, this, as we know, it can be a black hole that you're entering here. There's so many crazy, wonderful conspiracy theories there. I'm not going to say anything, but during our little research session that we go through prior to putting the podcast together, we notice a lot of the stuff. I don't know if it's because it's English-based language, but a lot of the stuff always is just comes from America. A lot of things happen in America. Some would say it seems like it's the center of the world. But yeah, we've all grown up and heard, even if we don't know too many in detail, there's been all sorts of kind of conspiracy theories that we've heard. Some that are just like very popular and well known. So we've kind of picked two conspiracy theories that we're both going to discuss. The two that I picked are just two that kind of stick out to me. Ones that I probably looked into before, ones that I probably read about or seen some sort of show. There's quite a few to pick from. I mean, there's always ones surrounding celebrities, celebrity deaths, like you mentioned. Are they dead? Tupac, is he still alive? Is he living life in Bahamas right now? And there's also, some ones about the moon landing, etc. The ones that I've gone, I find them interesting. I think there is something to them. Obviously, I like space. So one of mine involves Area 51, of course. It just had to.
Ooh, so, don't tell me any. Go on to that one first.
UFOs. Shall I reveal the second one, or are we gonna just leave it?
No. In classic Descendants of None, classic Don style, we're gonna go through this one at a time. We'll probably fall out at some point.
I hope because
so. As we both know, you speak a hell of a lot of shit.
Well, we have very differing views on certain things, but one of the biggest conspiracy theories always falls around aliens and have aliens visited Earth, etc. I'm not too sure about you actually. We've never really talked about it too much, but I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I love things like Star Trek, which I'm a huge fan of. So anything.
The word is geek. The word is geek.
Yeah, you can use that word. I'm not embarrassed.
Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory made it cool, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, that is true. But aliens, anything to do with that and visits, and has there been signs? I always was interested in those things. I always used to find it funny again that why do all aliens just want to seem to land in America? Where's that alien that thinks, you know what, I feel like visiting India, let's go there. Let me pop down to Stourbridge. It's got to be a few nights.
Here he goes. 7 minutes, 20 seconds in, he's plugging India.
Yeah, I've got to.
If we can break India, we've made it, mate. If we can get into there, we've made it.
That 1 billion plus market. Ooh. We'll have all the Bollywood stars on this show, trust me.
Amitabh Bachchan.
Your favourite, your number one.
Oh, The Godfather, of course, of course.
But yeah. Well, the Area 51. I don't know how much you know about it. So do come in.
Everything
when you want to. Oh, that's even better. I'll come to you then.
Test me. But go on.
For there to be an area, in this case, Area 51, where there's aliens that have been they've been captured, that they currently are still there, they're kept hostage, or, well, I guess it would be hostage, or they're being experimented on. I've always found that fascinating. And it makes sense that there would, of course, be some sort of secret bunker where if there was any sort of materials that have even come from space, it doesn't need to be like any sort of species, but any sort of materials that are foreign to us in terms of technology, or metals or whatever, that the US would, obviously they're the ones that have been out in space the most and have the I guess the most money for military, that they would have these things, and especially if there was any sort of species that just happens to want to go to somewhere in the middle of Kansas and just seems to get caught by humans somehow, and that they would be experimented on. But I'm sure it wouldn't be that well known that it is Area 51. A lot of the stuff I read about Area 51 is just where they do a lot of the future tech, if you will. You're not really allowed anywhere that close to it, so it's hard to have any idea of what goes on there. Apart from it is obviously some secretive American bunker. A lot of people say there's probably not even that much that's active there. I think a lot of the stuff comes from the Cold War era. With the good old Russians, Soviet Union.
You're touching on a lot of my subjects, a lot of them. Well, one of them mainly, already.
But do you believe in Area 51? I mean, do you believe in all the kind of, because there's not one single conspiracy theory that comes from there, but there's all sorts of conspiracies that people have surrounding Area 51 in that place there.
All right. Let me ask you, because you're the expert and I'm the host.
The alien
so know your
expert,
place.
yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of you.
Let me ask you. Okay, so guys, I'm now going to go to our Indian correspondent, who's our expert on Area 51. Now, do you actually believe that there are aliens there? There are little green people running around and just kind of scared and they're held captive? Do you?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. I think on this one, I think I do, to be honest. There could be possibilities. I even said there's probably possibilities that they've kind of, maybe there's even materials that are foreign to Earth or humans.
Stop saying foreign. That's not nice, is it?
Yeah, sorry, we're all one.
I know you're racist. But come on.
Don't call me out on the podcast. I'm racial neutral, if that's such a thing, and if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it stems from the 1950s, etc., and the Cold War. I think a lot of technology was coming from there where they tested it, and there was probably some odd kind of aeroplanes, I guess, or some sort of flying machines that people saw around the area and thought, wow, that looks strange. That looks foreign.
I think the technical term for it is an unidentified flying object.
Oh my gosh,
I just made it up off the top of my head. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, you definitely know your
UFOs, some would say.
Oh my gosh, you're really breaking it down.
I'm on fire. See, I told you I know it all. Area 50, Area 51, Area 52. I know them all.
Yeah.
I know them all. All right. So the question I would put back to you, and this is the bit that makes it seem far-fetched. The Americans don't strike me as liars, mate. If there's one thing they're not, they would not lie about it. Okay.
Can you apologize
so
to
why
American
would they?
Listening base that we possibly may have in the future?
Yeah, I think our base, just to let you know, I think our base, our Area 51, stems from Stourbridge to Birmingham. So, yeah, of course, I apologise to any American listeners. So, zero of you. I apologise.
Well, you don't know.
This episode is going to seem like we're going in on them, but it's genuinely not our fault. A lot of the conspiracy theories come out of there. Can we touch upon in a minute where the word conspiracy theory comes from?
If you want to explain that to me, because I don't know.
All right. Well, conspiracy theory, again, sorry, Americans, I didn't do this. Apparently, the CIA, in around 1971, I know I said around and then I gave you a really specific number, but it's around that year, came up with the word conspiracy theorists just in order. Because now, the moment you find out someone's a conspiracy theorist, you have this interpretation in your mind already that they're a bit of a nut. They're a bit of a, what's the word for it? They're a bit misinformed, a bit crazy, if you'd like. It was actually it was the CIA that coined the phrase conspiracy theorists, and they did it for that very purpose. So, well done.
I think a lot of the conspiracy theories, people always go on that the government's trying to hide something. I think possibly they try and hide something, but not in the way that people believe. I think they enjoy the kind of disinformation that is out there, and they kind of probably it benefits and helps them when they think, this is what it is and that, when it really isn't. So they let them get on with it while they're doing whatever they're doing. I think that's probably the case with Area 51. All it is new technology that they're using. If people build a whole kind of thing out of it saying it's aliens, they're probably happy for that to go on so they can crack on with what they're doing. But
I would say that it stems from people being so bloody boring. Everything has to be exaggerated. Everything. I think it's indisputable that things go on in Area 51 that to the average person seem a little far-fetched? Does that mean there's little green people running around?
They are.
No.
No, they are, Dan. They are.
In saying that, I've seen stranger people in Birmingham city centre, let me tell you that. If you want to see extraterrestrial life, go down Broad Street on a Saturday morning. I used to work in Brindley Place, little name drop for you there. And every time when we did overtime on a Saturday morning, I'd always want to be out by about 11 o'clock. So I used to go in super early, probably about 7 or 8 o'clock. And there'd still be people road sweepers sweeping the people off into the gutter, down to like see Pennywise and that down into the gutter. Because if you want to see extraterrestrial life, mate, go down to Broad Street, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I guarantee you've never seen things like this. You've never seen people like this.
I'm going to think that you like no one by the sounds of this podcast.
That's kind of true, though, isn't it? It's kind of true.
But come on, aliens do exist somewhere out there in the big universe, and at least one may have visited Earth, and the Americans have that alien.
What? Isn't okay? That would have been a spin-off question. Do you believe that aliens exist? And I think you've kind of just covered it, and you said
I'm going to say yeah. Come on, let's just say yes.
I would say I'd separate the word alien from, and I'm going to get a bit. I'm going to take off my absolute idiot head, and put on my intellectual head, which is kind of contradictory to what I've just said because I couldn't even say the word head properly. But I would separate the word alien from life forms, all right? And do I believe there's life on other planets? Probably you're looking at single-cell organisms, but do I think that in the shape of people or life forms as in living, breathing creatures? Probably not. Sorry. I do apologise.
Okay, no, that's fine. But yeah, that's my first one. So let's hear what juicy little conspiracy you've got for us. Slap it on the plate.
All right. Bit disgusting, but okay. All right. So, did you know? I'm saying, did you know? Like it's like I've proven it. It's been a theory this whole time, but I've proven it. No, are you aware that there is a theory that Paul McCartney was killed and replaced with a lookalike?
Yes, and I absolutely love this one. I don't know too much, but I remember someone I'd never heard about this. I don't really care for the Beatles, to be honest. I'm sorry. People who love the Beatles. I didn't say I hate them, but I don't really care too much about them. But yeah,
no.
I used to know someone who was like quite a big Beatles fan. I think got it from my parents, and yeah, I heard about this. Apparently, there was a whole like book on it or a TV show. I was saying to you, and I just find it fascinating. How would they have gotten away with this? How's it not been revealed yet?
What do you mean? How have they gotten away with this? Did you know Elvis has been gardening for the past 50 years? Of course, they got away with it.
He was magic, though, wasn't he, Elvis?
Oh yes, 100%. But in saying that, I think Paul McCartney and John Lennon, they've probably got to go down to the best songwriters of the last.
Isn't that why some people
can we say last
Paul
century?
McCartney?
Why?
Because they believe in this conspiracy. They actually hate him, don't they?
I would not be surprised if there's people out there that hate him on the back of this conspiracy, because people are insane.
So, like, for people who might not knows about as much as me, correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I can remember when I knew about this was that very early on in the Beatles, in the early 60s, the original Paul McCartney was killed in a car accident. And I think Paul McCartney had always been around them or something. So because they feared like mass suicide from teenage women, teenage girls and women, they kind of just put the plan in place that he'd replace them, and because he looked so similar, no one would notice. Is that how this one goes?
Hold on. Is that the segment where I tell you the theory and you just tell me your theory on it rather than me telling you?
No, I can't fully remember it. I think that's what I knew about it. So
Annoyingly, you're not far wrong.
Okay.
But the version I always heard growing up, first of all, I grew up as, I'm not going to say a massive Beatles fan because I used to appreciate things like the tunes growing up.
Mm.
However, when I actually grew up, I realised just how good the songwriters there were and began to appreciate that.
Mm.
I'm telling you now, Imagine has got to be possibly one of the best written songs of all time, along with Billy Joel Piano Man, but Billy Joel's alive and kicking, so can't do one on him. But yeah, basically he was killed in a car accident. But what I heard growing up was it was because he had a few disagreements with John Lennon, and I
Okay.
imagine that two people with such, there must have been some sort of ego there because they were absolute geniuses. Well, one still is, if you believe the rumor.
Mm.
Well, it's not really a rumor that he's alive, is it? It's a rumor that he's dead. But I can see how they might clash because even when you see like songs replayed now, you'll always see like lyrics by John Lennon, lyrics by Paul McCartney, not necessarily by the Beatles. So I can see why they might clash a little. But yeah,
I do love it when people look into lyrics, and they believe there's some sort of hidden meaning in a lyric. So it'd be interesting to know what kind of meanings they found out for this death, because I think that was one of the other things I remember. Wasn't there one or two songs where one of them say a line which I think it might have been what's the one that wears the glasses again? John Lennon. That's the one. When he kind of says something that people believe that is in reference to the original Paul McCartney dying. Is that right? I'm not too sure, to be fair.
For a man that is not too aware of this, you are.
Is that what you want to say?
You really are. Well, to some extent, yeah. But the bit when researching this that really grabbed my attention, really hooked me, was when I saw the cover for Abbey Road. Gives subtle. Everyone knows that picture, don't they? If you do not know that picture and the cover of the what's the word for it? The record.
Ooh, going old school. The record.
I don't care if you wouldn't subscribe because you don't know that picture, mate. If you do not know that picture, that really gets my gander up. Dander? Well, everyone knows that picture, but apparently you know the one where going across Abbey Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of that road again? On that album, Abbey Road. Oh yeah. Well, there are subtle hints in there that could possibly, when looked into, you could interpret that they're referring to John Lennon, Paul McCartney's death. All right. Do you want to? I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Dan, what are these subtle hints? All right.
Yeah,
let me tell you.
You've really got my conspiracy juices flowing on this one.
I might piss you off and just go, okay, guys, that's the end of the episode. Tune in next week to find out what John Lennon was doing on the Abbey Road cover. To really confirm if Paul McCartney was dead. But no, all right. John Lennon is said to represent the priest because he's in all white. Okay? Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Ringo Starr is the pallbearer. Pallbearer? Because he's in a suit. Okay? Which at times, someone from Liverpool, you could possibly say, what's he doing in a suit? I get that. Is he in court? No, sorry. Apologies. Liverpool's too close to home. I apologise to any. No, I don't apologise. I've said way worse stuff. Sorry. And George Harrison acts as a gravedigger because he's in denim. Okay.
Wait, hold on. Gravediggers wear denim.
I don't know. That's what the article says. Okay. But apparently so.
That makes sense.
Apparently so. Okay. Does it? Is there some benefit to a gravedigger wearing denim? Does the mud not just slide off you or something? I don't know. But Paul's bare feet are said to be a sign that he's no longer living because he's got no shoes on. Bit silly.
Yeah.
But the thing I did hear growing up was apparently if you look at the cover of Abbey Road, that his feet are slightly raised, so it's almost like he's floating. And that's the bit that I heard. But apparently so. But there's a number of things across their career that could indicate that Paul McCartney is in fact dead. So if you're listening to this, fake Paul, we know. Okay.
I like
All
that
right.
one. I like
So
that one.
all right. We'll on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the probability that Paul McCartney was replaced by a fake Paul McCartney?
0.
I said 1 to 10. At least give me a 1.
I'll give you a 1.
He was wearing denim.
I just think something. They were just like so ridiculously huge. They were like, you know, they were the first like super. Actually, were they more popular than Elvis? Were they a bigger breakout worldwide success than Elvis?
They've sold much more than Elvis, haven't they?
So I mean, these were ridiculously popular. I can't, even if there was an attempt made, it would have came out eventually. I just don't see how they would have covered that up.
It has. I'm on the Sun website. What more proof do you need? We know that's a reliable source. Come on.
Yeah, the fountain of truth, that is the Sun.
What more proof do I need to give you? He was wearing denim, for Christ's sake.
I'm sorry to shite all on your conspiracy theory and to make mine better, but yours is no. I'm not having it.
Well,
I'm not having
listen,
it. Take it back to Abbey Road.
The counter argument that I would give you is you are right that the Beatles were definitely main one I can think of, the first super group, if you'd like.
Yeah.
So wouldn't they want to replace him rather than come into an end? Because let's be honest, you'd argue that Paul McCartney is definitely a genius behind it, because I think John Lennon's cited as being the main guy because he died. I think if Paul McCartney did die, then I think that it would be him that's definitely no contest. He's the main guy. But the difference I think would be is I think that Paul McCartney is the talented one in this instance. I'm not arguing that they're not all talented.
Who was your favourite Beatle then? Paul McCartney.
Oh, it was Paul McCartney. Songwriting's ridiculous, although I believe that John Lennon wrote Imagine, didn't it? It's just his song. And that's one of my favourite written songs of all time. But you would argue that Paul McCartney's death, if what's written is to believe the case, where he was the true genius behind the Beatles, would have massively hindered them. Whereas John Lennon's death, you could argue, made the Beatles so much bigger. That's the counter argument I'd put forward. And they couldn't afford to lose him if he died.
Yeah.
Would that not be the case that they tried to replace him?
I mean, I don't. If you lose someone and they've gone, you cover it up that quickly in less than a day, and no one has any sort of hint about it, and no one really thinks, hold on, this guy looks really different. No matter how similar you are, you know, there's personality and actions and little quirks that people have. No one really thought. I don't know. But I do like kind of the things that come out of it in terms of words that have been said in interviews or on songs and stuff, and the way people interpret things like what you brought up in terms of the, you know, the Undertaker.
Abbey Road cover.
Yeah, the cover, the blue denim gravedigger thing. So that kind of stuff's kind of interesting. That comes out of it and what people think that means.
But how do you explain the lack of shoes then?
They were expensive in the 60s, Dan. It's not. They couldn't just pop on ASOS and just buy a cheap pair or something.
That's true.
There's no Primark in that. Well, actually, was Primark around? Possibly, I don't know. It's probably just one shop back then. But yeah, anyway, that was very good, though. I do like it.
All right, then.
I don't think it's
next,
true, but yeah.
Go on, then. See my Paul McCartney theory.
I'm just gonna.
And what you gonna raise me? Go
I'm
on.
gonna smack this across your cheeks, left to right, and I'm talking about the cheeks on your face, of course.
Thank you.
One of the most interesting ones, probably piqued my interest again, on the back of the Netflix show that I've totally forgotten the name of, that had Al Pacino, about Jimmy Hoffa, Robert De Niro. What was that called? I'm going to have to do a cheeky little Google mid-podcast, which isn't very good, but... So,
as long as you limit the sound effects coming from your keyboard, because I don't want our fantastic viewers.
I'm tapping the...
Well, their hearing being hindered by...
I'm tapping these keys as softly as possible.
I want to listen closely and see if I hear.
I've already done.
I can hear something. I can hear something.
Oh, the Irishman. There we go. The Irishman.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Have you watched this 7-hour movie?
Mate, I have not. And I'm ashamed to say I hate myself for it because I want to watch it. And I've downloaded this movie about 5 times, but which in itself took about 50 hours.
Is there a mirror in the room you're in?
Well, there is, yeah.
Can you stand in front of it and slap yourself 5 times?
Yeah, but how can I? Because every time I look at this on, I'm not going to say the site. In fact, go on, it's a Netflix original. I'll say it is a Netflix original, isn't it?
Yeah,
actually,
is.
It's not.
It is. It was made for. No, it kind of came out in the movie. Oh, actually, do you know what? I just remembered.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a Netflix original. Apologies, false information. Sorry about that.
I watched this at the cinema. But it was kind of...
How did you argue then?
It was it was kind of like at the movies and also on Netflix at the same kind of time. It's kind of one of those new modern releases.
All right, because I've not seen it, I'll shut up and let you speak for a minute, which the first
all
thing
a favour and keep that mouth shut for a few moments while I absolutely tickle your ears with some delightful conspiracies. Or conspiracy.
I'm not going to be much use here, am I?
In regards to JFK.
Oh, fair enough. I'm in.
On November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas, when he was struck by 2 bullets. He died at age 46. Now, this one, there's definitely a few different conspiracies. This is another one where there's not one set conspiracy theory in regards to this death, kind of like Area 51. There's a few kind of conspiracy theories that kind of come off of this death. One of the most iconic moments in world history, in American history as well, a death of the most important man in the world, JFK.
Well, it was on live TV as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of gruesome if you're not into that thing, but I've kind of seen some of the still images and some of the videos a few times, and honestly, it is just nasty. It is a nasty assassination.
A bullet to the head's never pretty.
Yeah, well, we know what was going on in the world at this time. Segregation in the USA, and also communism. And you know what Americans were like. What did they hate? Communism. Russians were the big bad boys, the villains of the story for the Americans, and the Americans were the heroes. And it was all pinned on this guy called Lee Harvey Oswald. But I remember watching a documentary because I'm a cool guy and does things like that.
You mean you have no life? Is that what you're trying to say?
I have a life, a fulfilling life, full of knowledge and learning and expanding the mind. But I watched a few documentaries on this, and I remember there was always a little bit that was only briefly touched upon, and one that I watched was the Italian mafia's involvement in this and possible involvement. At the time, I thought, what? No, that don't make sense. It was either the Russians or to do with communist, or some people in the American government wasn't really happy with JFK, the way he was handling, Russia, the Soviet Union, the invasion that they had in terms of Bay of the Pigs, I think it was called, in Cuba, all that sort of stuff. Maybe they thought he was a bit soft. America, some government people probably weren't happy, and they paid, a poor sod to maybe do something like that. But it's the mafia kind of thing that really interests me in this, and it kind of comes up if you do watch The Irishman. And a kind of in there, fantastic show. It is really long, but some great acting.
Did Robert De Niro do it?
Robert De Niro.
Did he pop in?
I'm not going to say anything actually.
Was it Joe Pesci?
He does play an important part in this show. Obviously, it ain't meant to be like it covers true events such as the Jimmy Hoffa murder or disappearance. They never really knew what happened, but yeah, I mean, you're watching one of the two best actors ever. They're just really great together. But yeah, it's the mafia's involvement, and I think sometimes we forget in the 50s and 60s, like how rich and important and powerful the mafia was, and they were gaining a lot of influence across a lot of the US. So everyone knows how the mafia is. It's all broken down. The American mafia, or the Italian, or as the Americans would say, Italian mafia.
Can you give me an impression, please? Give me your best, let's say, typical New York.
I can't do accents, you know that. You're the guy for that. I can't do an American accent for some reason. No, I can't, and I can't do it just on the spot either. No.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But once I can do an Italian accent, I'll bless all of your ears with that. But in there, it just touches upon like the Italian mafia in the show, and obviously what people believe and the kind of influence they had. So they're all like set up in families, and they all work in different parts that they control, from New York, Philadelphia, down to Florida. And it was I can't exactly remember, which isn't great, but they weren't happy with JFK and his handling and some of his policies. I don't know if it was to do with gambling specifically, but there were some policies that they weren't happy with, and they already influenced a lot of policymakers with bribes and stuff. But yeah, the main interesting part is the mafia actually had him killed, to be honest, so they could like influence politics and have some of the people they wanted in power, so he wouldn't go through on some of these policies that was going to affect their businesses. It goes into a bit more interesting depth in like the show. Not great depth, but it kind of covers it, and you kind of see like, oh wow, like yeah, I kind of believe that they could have killed it, or they could have been behind it, or part of the reason behind it, because they had a lot of money in stake, and there was a lot going on at that time as well. And the mafia were really, really powerful, you know, and they were all about money and influence, and they were bribing a lot of people at the time as well.
I think their power, because it's often talked about in movies, I think it's often under-exaggerated, if that's a word, underplayed. Their influence isn't actually seen as important because there's so many movies on it. It is kind of like, well, it's just a film, isn't it? It didn't actually work like this. When you actually realise the power they did actually have, and I know there's still going, so hope you're listening, guys. Enjoy the show. But the power that they used to have was substantial, and I can well believe your theory.
Yeah, it's just I've had a cheeky little Google, and it was in regards to what he was trying to do with the casinos, and they weren't happy with that.
It makes sense.
So to have him killed off, it's something, and it's something they were more than capable of putting into action, to be honest. And at that time, their power was only growing. So the fact that they could probably have something like that set in place, if it was going to affect a big chunk of their money and their power, yeah, they could, and they could have hid behind other reasons, as we said, like the things that were going on with the Cuba and the Soviet Union. So in terms of that one conspiracy theories that comes off, yeah, there's a lot of organized crime, and if they were the ones that did it, I wouldn't be that surprised, to be honest. There's apparently some mob people that have come out and saying, you know, yeah, it was us and why, but there's never been anything definitive on that. So many people wanted him dead, which is kind of sad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you understand that. Right,
You
you
understand
mentioned
why they
Cuba.
wanted him dead?
No, I can't understand why they would, but I can't understand the mind of a murderer. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
You mentioned Cuba. Here's a little trivia, a bit of trivia for you. Do you know the only two countries in the world that don't sell Coca-Cola? Well, you've
Yeah,
got one of them,
let me
Cuba.
guess. Let me guess. India.
Oh wait, literally, you plugged them twice now.
Mm.
You plugged them twice. No, it's actually Cuba and North Korea.
Oh,
You make of that what you know.
exactly.
Their cheeky US trade embargoes. I wonder if the big Pepsi fans in Cuba and North Korea then. Who knows?
Mm. But yeah, it's a good good one to look into, in just terms of the mob influence and around that era and what they could do. And definitely watch The Irishman. It is a long sit, so I wouldn't, if you don't want to sit there for like 7 hours, just break it up. But it is interesting to watch. So do it because Party wants you to, and he's a nice guy, so do something for him.
100%. My final one isn't a theory.
Oh God, are you joking? We get to the end
Shut
part,
up.
and you're not even going to give me a juicy little theory to end us on.
Well, it's not so much a theory; it's a bloody fact, mate. So I think there's nothing better to end on.
Controversy. Go on then. Go on.
It's not controversial. It didn't happen. We didn't go to the moon. We've never been to the moon.
We have.
We'll never go to the moon. No. Everything that you've said tonight is pointing at the Americans having a bad reputation with the Russians.
I just want to clarify.
We're talking about a time.
For all FBI and CIA agents, we are very supportive.
They're listening, mate. Whether this episode goes out or not, they're listening.
Okay. We're just two people from the UK who are bitter. Continue.
Mm-hmm. All right, you've supported them, so I'll slag them off again. We know how the Russians and the Americans didn't get on at that point in time. Yeah. It would have done wonders for whichever country claimed they got to the moon first. It would have done wonders for them.
Oh yeah.
And how much has it done for America? The fact that how much do they pride themselves on the fact that they went to that stuck a bloody flag there? You don't do that, mate. When I go to Blackpool, I don't go on the pleasure beach and just stick a Stourbridge flag on there.
How do we know that? You could do.
Well, because it didn't happen, mate. I'm telling you now. Okay, I never would went to Blackpool and stuck that Stourbridge flag down. And Neil Armstrong didn't go to the moon and stick that flag down. All right? It didn't happen. Although what I would say is the one thing that I wish was true, and again, my stupid head is coming off, my intellectual head is going on. Have you ever seen the one test that was done on the moon? Well, I'm sure that numerous were. But the one that's incredible
that proves everything.
Well, it doesn't prove everything. It's just one of my favourite theories of all time. All right, so Aristotle, you heard of this geezer, yeah?
Yeah, he's kind of. Yeah, I'm sure I've heard him before. Yeah,
he's done a bit in his life.
I've heard so.
Aristotle, well, in this instance, is a bit of an idiot, mate. Well, joke's on you, mate. All right, so Aristotle believed that heavier objects, you probably know where I'm going with this, fell faster to the ground than lighter objects. Okay?
Oh, here we go.
Now, a clever Italian man, he was Italian, wasn't he?
Yeah.
All right, smart ass. You know what I'm saying before you've even said it. Monsieur Galileo believed that if two things are falling at the same time, then as much as the heavier object has got to be having an influence on the lighter object that's causing it to fall faster, the lighter object must also be having the same effect on the heavier object, which counteracts and means it can't fall at different paces. Now, Neil Armstrong, when he got up there, took two things in his suitcase. He packed his little astronaut bag, and he took with him a feather and a hammer. He dropped both of them at the same time. If you watch the video, it's pretty cool. As much as it looks bloody ridiculous because it didn't happen, it's pretty cool to watch, and it basically proves that Galileo was right, that say as much as the heavier object is having an influence on the lighter object, the lighter object is also having the same effect on the heavier object. So they do fall at the same pace. Right? That's the one thing that I'm glad that came out of that whole farce, that whole charade, that whole bit of nonsense. Mate, don't get me started on the Van Allen radiation field. Come on. Come on.
Go on then. Treat us.
All right, I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis. The Van Allen radiation field, and I don't have Google up now, by the way. This is my knowledge. Forget Google, mate. This is prime Dan knowledge. Basically, what the Van Allen radiation field is basically a magnetic field that without we wouldn't be able to exist. It allows the atmosphere to basically exist in the way it does. That means that we are able to be here and make a fantastic podcast. Now, all great things come at a cost. This Van Allen radiation field carries a little bit of radiation with it, right? Now, I've seen videos where scientists have confirmed that nothing can pass through the Van Allen radiation field. Now, it's almost, in this analogy, it's like a little service station. You cannot go all that way to the moon without passing through it, I'm afraid. You have to stop off. There is a counter argument that it takes around 52 minutes to pass through the Van Allen radiation field, which means that that's more than enough time to avoid the level of radiation before it actually becomes lethal. But we don't believe that nonsense here in the Descendants of Nonsense, unfortunately. So, quote me, never been to the moon, never have done, never will do. Well, I don't know if we will do at some point. But I'm sure Muskie will sort it out, old Elon. But unfortunately, I don't believe that we have. Okay?
Okay.
Unfortunately, it was just another case where the Americans and the Russians were having a little fight, and they're like, "Oh, I can get there first. Watch this." Oh. Explain to me why no one's been there since. In fact, give me the year, Party, when someone was last at the moon.
1972.
I thought it was 75. But are you telling me in that whole time that technology has advanced more than you could ever imagine in the past 45 years?
Daniel, it's not.
And we ain't been back.
No, because there was a lot of reasons. One of the reasons she said they put a lot of time and effort and money in terms of, there was a Cold War going on at the time. Russia got the first man into space. And obviously,
you leave Mr. Gagarin out of it.
And the Americans obviously wanted to make their mark and show their power, because it was all about showing your power at the time, the Cold War. A lot of money is involved in terms of, doing these visits to other worlds, to the moon. And there's a lot of money involved, basically. And at that time, there was a reason and there was a push towards doing this. The Cold War was going on, but a lot of things, when that's not there, and then you got to justify spending absolute hundreds of millions up to billions of pounds on this, it's hard to justify it and have it, put ahead by the government that they're willing to do that. So
all right,
people say,
we're gonna beg,
that they're gonna just go to the moon again. And I do get why people think, we did it so long again. It's not like NASA or scientists don't want to do those missions again or want to get that signed off or put that in place. It's not that straightforward from what I know. Obviously, it's probably I need to look into, but I get where you're coming from, and I can see why there is a lot of conspiracy theories. I'll be honest, I've never known too much about it, and I don't really see too much that America... Well, actually, there is a lot America, I guess, could have got out of it from faking it. But, yeah, it is an interesting one. I'm not going to say no to you. I'm not going to say no on that one.
All right. Pards, we're never going to agree on this. We'll always beg to differ. And unfortunately, you've got me rolled up to a point where I'm probably going to go upstairs now, have an argument with the missus, and it's all your fault, okay? But... Sorry. There's conspiracy theories from the Descendants of Nonsense in a nutshell. So just to recap, before Friday at 8 p.m. Get yourself on Twitter, give us a follow, retweet the tweet that's coming in about 5 minutes. That's my time, not your time.
Retweet.
Thanks
retweet.
for
goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Have a good week, guys. Bye.